What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards Football Sports Talk Radio. I'll be your host and producer, Logan Landers. And joining me, as always, this afternoon for our Vols weekly recap and, of course, Legends segment is our own legend here on the program, Mr. Joey Klingscale. Joey, hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we're back here once again talking about the Vols and now recapping their regular season, as we're going to talk more, of course, about that Vanderbilt game, all the good and, of course, all the bad and everything else in between, and look a little bit forward, look ahead into who they might be facing in some bowl games and what Tennessee can do to better themselves, both, on the field as well as in the coaching staff in the 2026 season. So a lot to cover here today. And of course, as we mentioned, our legend here, we'll get to it a little bit later. But Joey, how you doing, sir? And I'm excited to talk about Tennessee. And now we get to recap the whole season. How you doing this afternoon, man?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for asking. Thanksgiving was great. Got to see a lot of family, some I hadn't seen in a long time. So Thanksgiving was great. That's what the holidays are about.
That's family. It. You ain't lying about that. That's how it is. And, of course, we thank all of you for watching our show here, Facebook and YouTube, every single week. We appreciate all the continued love and support here on the channel. Also, be sure to go download our podcast as well. You can find our shows there, just audio versions, all our shows. That's going to be on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or anywhere else you enjoy your podcast that is not listed. Just go on any of those, type in 100 Yards Football, and you will find all of our shows, our Vols Weekly Recap, as well as all the great other shows we have here on the network each and every single week. So, Joey, let's get into it. Let's talk about, let's get all the bad energy out the way first, and let's recap that Vanderbilt game. Mad, upset, 45-24 lost in the season, and Vanderbilt, their offense was just clicking on all cylinders. I don't know if anyone could have stopped them this past week. What were your thoughts overall watching them lose to Vanderbilt as they end their regular season?
Well, Vanderbilt came to Knoxville and played an exceptional football game. First and foremost, Vanderbilt was the most physical team on the field. Their physicality was, in my opinion, the major difference in the game. Offensively, they were able to move up and down the field at will sometimes. And Pavia made a couple mistakes early in the game, threw a couple interceptions. But ultimately, it didn't really cost them because at halftime, the score was tied, 21-21. So Vanderbilt had to feel really good after two interceptions to go into a halftime tied. So coming back out, they had all the confidence in the world, and they really did some really good things offensively. Pavia, he's probably I'm not sure he's a real Heisman Trophy candidate, but the moxie, the leadership ability that he presents to a team is really amazing. I mean, his energy is kind of like the same energy you see in Baker Mayfield, a guy like that. He's really tough. He's tough-minded. He plays with a certain chip on his shoulder, and you can see it. You can feel it. It's palpable. So those things, I think, were important for Vanderbilt, and they followed their leader. And he's their leader. And I have to give kudos to their head coach, who had come into the game. He just signed a long-term extension, and I really like the way he's built their program up. So kudos to Vanderbilt. Kudos to the way they played Tennessee in the football game, and they have a lot to build on.
Yeah, and, for Vanderbilt, a team who, really until recent years, the last 3, maybe even 5 years, give or take, you never really heard a whole lot football-wise. They were kind of in the dumps for the longest time. But, boy, they have rebuilt that program, and they have – for at one time, they were an easy opponent for a lot of SEC teams where you say, all right, we got Vanderbilt on the schedule, easy W there, win by 30 and keep moving. But that has definitely changed. And as you mentioned, the culture at that program, and, of course, Diego Pavia leading the way. And like you said, he might not win the Heisman, but he certainly doesn't lack any confidence. And he'll tell you that he's the Heisman winner already. He would have told you that back in week 3. So I feel like that's what you need, though, for a leader. As long as you can get away with that. If it's on the field work and it gets wins and it produces results and the teammates, everyone's behind it, right? It's the other side. It's when things are going bad and you're acting like that when things don't become an issue. But like I said, everything's rolling right now. And he was just you couldn't stop him. Like I said, throwing the ball. He ran for 168 yards as a quarterback. I was having flashbacks to Michael Vick and Donovan McNabb back in guys I watched growing up with Pavia. He was just kind of, in a way, a one-man show on offense, but a lot of great players, obviously, over there. Defense did their job in the second half against Tennessee, only limited them to 3 points after halftime. Like I said, it was tied at half. It could have been anyone's ball game, but
Right.
whatever was said in that locker room speech at halftime to the Vanderbilt Commodore players, they took it to heart, and they came out just firing in that second half. And for Tennessee, just couldn't get the job done, and they end their regular season, with an 8-4 record. All 4 losses, though, coming in SEC play. So, Joey, let's get your thoughts here overall on this Vols program. Obviously, for a while we were thinking that they were going to be in the top 12 going to the college football playoff, and then that kind of got bumped down to maybe an SEC championship. But now they are obviously now on the outside looking in. But still, like I said, overall, any season you go with a winning record, it's always solid. But obviously, you kind of left a little bit on the table if you're a Volunteers fan. But let's get kind of your summary on the overall season of 2025 before we move on, getting into the bowl game and into the 2026 season.
Well, I think some of the things that plagued them early in the season continued throughout the season. Specifically, the defensive inadequacies, such as being able to rush the passer consistently, being able to get off the field on third down consistently, being able to not be outflanked defensively, and just giving up easy receptions to the offense. So I think some of those things from a defensive perspective, along with in the big games, I felt like offensively we got really conservative. So that's on the head coach. That's on Heupel, because he's the offensive coordinator and head coach. He's the offensive guru. So I think those are some of the things offensively that we have to get cleaned up. How we're going to play in those big games, not being afraid to allow the players to make a mistake, because they're going to make mistakes, and you have to be able to live with those. But I think when you go conservative, you try to take those factors out of the quarterback's hand, out of the offensive hands, and it's hard to take your foot off the gas and then put your foot back on the gas in the middle of a game. So that's really difficult. But we've had challenges defensively, being able to consistently rush the passer. The offensive line, it took the offensive line a little while to get going from a health perspective. But I thought toward the end of the season, the offensive line was playing really well. I thought that was an area that continued to grow, and there was some strength there. But defensively, in the linebacker play, I thought it was inconsistent this year. I certainly thought the secondary play, for the most part, was inconsistent. And we really didn't have but one guy that was really able to rush the passer, and he really wasn't a full-time player for the most part. So we have to find the ability to create one-on-one matchups as a defense, and do a better job of creating pass rush opportunities.
Yeah, like
and a lot of that is scheme. A lot of that is scheme. I mean, so you have the personnel. What your personnel is, whatever your personnel is. It's up to the coaching staff to figure out what that personnel is and be able to put those guys in the right position to be successful. So, sometimes a square peg won't fit in a round hole. So if you're a man-to-man team and you don't have man-to-man talent, then it makes no sense to continue running man-to-man. Okay, you have to be your talent level and your scheme has to fit the personnel that you have available. And I'm not sure that was always the case this year.
Yeah, like I said, like I said, you had some highs and you had some lows with this team. That's just how it was. It was all right. We're on track one week. We only give up 21 points or less, let's just say, but then you come out and you give up 40, you give up 45, give up 50, whatever it may be, and you just wonder what the heck went wrong that week. So with Tennessee, like I said, you got some things you need to work on heading into, going into your bowl game, then eventually going into the off season. It's going to be interesting. We have the early signing day coming up here in just actually tomorrow at the time of this filming, tomorrow through the end of the week. So, that's an early look, or very early look, before they sign eventually, hopefully, with the Vols in February for the National Day, about who could be coming to the program here in the very near future. That'll be exciting. But what are some keys you have in 2026 for this team? I know you mentioned maybe some schematics need to get changed, but any maybe areas of weakness, whether it be, let's just say corner, linebacker, on the O-line, wide receivers. What were some just overall maybe groups of players that you think either maybe a different coaching change perhaps, or maybe just some fresh eyes in there can help out this team next season?
Well, I'm not going to advocate for a coaching change just yet, although I was really disappointed with the way, even from the Syracuse game, throughout the way the defense played. So I'm not going to advocate for a coaching change. The year previously, the defense was really good. This year, we ended up giving them over 30 points a game. So I don't know whether that was scheme, although personally I know, but I'm not going to put anybody on Front Street. It's just we have to do a better job of having the players aligned with the personnel and the talent that you have accessible. So we have to do a better job as a university, as a football team, of doing that. That being said, I think we need more help in the secondary. You know, our best corner never played a snap this year because he got hurt. Yep. From the defensive line, again, we talked about that, finding the ability to rush the passer with some guys. And we need help at linebacker. I thought we were thin at that position. We had one or two guys that played pretty good for us, but I thought we were, for the most part, we were really thin at that position when those guys went out. And we have to find another quarterback. Now, our quarterback will petition just like Pavia did last year, so he may get another year of eligibility, which would be good if Joey could come back and play one more season. But if not, we really have to get another quarterback. And whether that's a guy that's coming out of high school who's a 3 or 4-star guy, or that's going into the portal just like we did this year and getting another guy. But whatever the method we choose to take, we need to find we need depth at the position that will help sustain us.
Yeah, and obviously, like I said, if you know you're a Vols fan, you hope that maybe Joey Aguilar can come back for another season just to lock that position in. But obviously, if he decides to, move on, go to the NFL, everyone's going to wish him best of luck and to whatever team he goes to. But it's going to be hard to, I think, duplicate the success that he had at the quarterback position this year. Like you said, he was a senior, and he finished with over 3,400 passing yards. That's very impressive. 24 touchdowns, 10 picks, 17 sacks. Averaged was 8.9 completion percentage of just under 67. So overall, I would say a very successful year, and he was especially kind of early on in the year against the non-conference teams, the ones where you should be getting a lot of points. Joey was lights out at times. Like I said, struggled in some of the other games, but I thought overall a very successful season, a really talented quarterback, and excited to see if he's going to come back to Tennessee, or B, if he's going to head on to the league, and who knows, maybe do some work for the Atlanta Falcons, because I think we need a little bit of help there.
Well, I think quite honestly, he has a better than 50% chance of getting that extra year eligibility because of the junior college rule and the lawsuit that Pavia presented last year and won. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, that he's already petitioned for the extra year. So I think there's a better than 50% chance that he'll get it. But if not, then, he'll have a chance to further his career in the National Football League.
Yeah, and the other two quarterbacks on the roster this time for Tennessee, and we'll see if maybe they might get a chance to step up. You have a freshman in Jake Merklinger, who is, like I said, a freshman out of Savannah, Georgia. So we'll see if he's maybe going to be the next guy up. You also have George McIntyre, another freshman, Tennessee native, this one out of Franklin, stands 6'6", 195. So we'll see if the brass at Tennessee decides to go young, or if they're going to go in the transfer portal. There's so many different options that you can explore now in college football, and we see that. But I know one thing is that Deshaun Bishop, I think that regardless who's going to be quarterback next year, I think he's going to get even more of a workload. He was just shy of 1,000 yards rushing this year and close to 15 touchdowns on the ground. So just a phenomenal year for him. And also the running game, just very solid overall for Tennessee. So like I said, the offense was working well. Defense, that's the main key point that we've been stressing all season, is you got to find whether it's the right guy, whether it's right different fits there, maybe coaching changes. Who knows? There's so many different possibilities out there. But we'll see how the Vols can do coming up here as we get closer to the offseason for them. But before they get to the offseason, Joey, time for the bowl games. And right now, this time, we have no idea who the heck Tennessee is going to play. We don't even know what bowl game they're going to be in. So let's just get some early predictions out the way. We should know by this time next week who the Vols are going to face. But this time, we're in limbo. So what are your thoughts overall with Tennessee? Like I said, ending the year on a losing note, unfortunately, but still 8-4 record, still solid. Who do you think the Vols will go against, or if they have if you have a bowl game in mind for the Volunteers this year?
Well, I think the bowl committees will try to put Tennessee up against a team either from the Big Ten or from the ACC, someone who was in a similar situation, who may have had a chance at some point during the year and then kind of fell off. I think they'll try to get an equally yoked team. And usually they will try to get a team that also brings a lot of fan support, because Tennessee's fans travel everywhere. And I'm sure they'll try to get another team who has a real solid fan base. That way the stadium is not half full, when they go places. But one of the places I've heard has been the Gator Bowl, potentially against a team like Georgia Tech, who actually played really well this year. They were well coached. They played a physical brand of football. So I think if that were to be the matchup, I think it would be a really good matchup. But again, it could be versus anyone. But the rumor is that it could be the Gator Bowl. It could be the Duke Mayo Bowl. It could be the Music City Bowl in Nashville. Again, this is early, so we don't know. But those are the rumors. And also you have to be cognizant of the players that have played, because now, we're in the era where players tend to opt out because of injury. If someone's going to the NFL, so if you have a senior or a junior who plans on declaring, they may or may not play in the bowl game. So there are a lot of different dynamics that did not used to be the case in college football that are a factor in the not only the bowl game, but the bowl game participation.
Yeah, and we'll see who the Vols end up going against, and also just which bowl they go for. I've seen, like I said, Georgia Tech, I think would be a great one here. Obviously, we're in Atlanta, so I think that would be just a nice tie-in for Tech, who, like I said, had some great spots this year, but just kind of ended the year just on a downward turn, unfortunately. Like I said, that would be a good pick-me-up for them at the end of the year to get back on the winning side. Same with Tennessee, but I've seen Iowa thrown out there as well with the Hawkeyes, so that could also be a good matchup. We know what that team's all about, and their tight-knit defense. There's been too many games I've seen them just on TV where it's a 6-0 game, but they'll win it for the years. So I don't know about how exciting it could be, but if you're a defensive stalwart, then that might be the one for you. But we'll see. Ultimately, like I said, hopefully by this time next week we'll have a better picture. We can do an actual preview about who Tennessee will face in the upcoming bowl games here in the next few weeks, as they get a well-earned kind of a little bit of relaxation before they ramp back up one more time in the 2025 season, looking ahead to 2026. And I think, Joey, let's just go ahead and move on now to our legend of the week. And we're talking about Mr. Doug Atkins. So why don't you let the fine people at home know about Mr. Atkins and what made you want to talk about him here this week on the show?
Well, Doug Atkins is a guy who's from Humboldt, Tennessee. So he's a local product to the University of Tennessee, because he's a Tennessee guy. But he was a college football Hall of Famer. Just an amazing player and an amazing athlete. He was a basketball player. He lettered on the University of Tennessee basketball team. And guess what? He lettered as a track athlete too. He was a high jumper, if I'm not mistaken, on the Vols track team. And he's got the 6'8", played defensive line, two-time All-American. And really before Reggie White, this guy was the most noted defensive player in University of Tennessee football history.
Yeah, he made his presence felt. Tennessee played, of course, in the early 50s, from 50 until 52. Defensive end. He was 6'8". You can see it in the photos here. He is not a small man by any means. And like I said, you didn't see a whole lot of 6'8" guys in the early 50s. You don't see him now on the line like that. So just an absolute tank of a man. Like I said, just track athlete as well, lightning quick, just tremendous agility. He's kind of a modern edge rusher way back, 80 years ago at this point. We know he's on the championship teams in 50 and 51. And that 51 team, Joey, I just mentioned with Iowa, 6-0. They gave up, I think, just under 6 points a game back in 51. Obviously, we know a lot has changed over the years, but still very, very impressive. And Doug Atkins was a major part of the success. All-American as well back in 52. Like I said, before Reggie White came along, we know how good Reggie was. We've talked about him here many, many times, not just on the Vols recap. We've done a lot of profiles on him, talking about his career, not just in the NCAA, but as well as in the NFL. But Doug Atkins was kind of the OG in that sense. He was one of the first to strike fear into opposing offense's heart. if he was coming down the tracks and getting to the quarterback and stuffing the running back in the backfield. And he had a very good career overall in the NFL. He moved on. He played with Cleveland, drafted first-round pick in 53 overall, 8-time Pro Bowler, as well as a 2-time champ with the Browns back in the day. So just someone who, regardless, whether it was Pee Wee football, high school football, college football, NFL, wherever you put this man, Doug Atkins, he was a winner at the end of the day. He brought home accolades, not just for personally, but for the team, whatever he played for. And just was a mountain of a man who was I'm sure a lot of opposing offenses, a lot of coaches dreaded, doing film work on Doug Atkins and write-ups about, what to watch out for, because like I said, he had a lot of great moves and get to the quarterback, and just a phenomenal talent all in all. And Joey, let's go ahead and get your final thoughts here on, let's do Doug Atkins and also now recapping the entire 2025 season for the Volunteers. Blink and you miss it.
Well, Doug Atkins, as we've noted, was a mountain of a man. And the thing about him is not only was he athletic for his time and a 3-sport athlete, but the agility, the ability to bring his teammates along as a champion and a winner, as a leader. He left a legacy at Tennessee, which has really rarely been matched, other than again by the great Reggie White. So what he was able to provide for his state and his team and his professional team as well, garnering two world championships was simply amazing. So he's someone that should be recognized by the Tennessee community at every opportunity. As far as the 2025 Volunteers finishing 8-4, it was an up and down season. Not everybody wanted more, of course, but you come into the season with a brand new quarterback, with brand new running backs, because you're the SEC Offensive Player of the Year was drafted at running back. So now you have 3 kind of unproven guys, and I thought that position played phenomenally all year. It was a 3-headed monster, and one of them ended up with 15 touchdowns by himself. The receiver core was young and growing. You had Chris Brazzell, who's will probably be a fairly high draft pick, but you have depth at that position. Offensive line grew. Defensive line was young. You need help there. You have 2 really good linebackers, but you need more help there, and you need more depth there. The secondary was up and down all year. So I just think this was a year, despite wanting more, that there were some good things. And there's some things to build on for the future. And with help through recruiting and through the transfer portal, I think we can get back where we're competing for SEC championship.
Fingers crossed on that. My final thoughts here on Doug Atkins, a man who was just like I said, an absolute unit on the field for Tennessee, a legend in every respect of the word, not just for the Volunteers, but also in the NFL as well. A guy who played 17 seasons, which is just incredible at a very demanding position, like he does, as athletic as he was. You'll if you ever look at photos of him, half the time he'll be leaping over offensive linemen, just because that's how freakishly athletic he was. Just an absolute tremendous player that, unfortunately, for a lot of pundits, gets lost in time just because of when he played. But we're here shining some light on him today, recognizing his talents, not just at Tennessee, but also throughout his NFL career as well. And finally, my thoughts on the Volunteers and their 2025 program as they head into their bowl game against a bunch of question marks, because we're not sure at this time. Like I said, got a good stepping block here, right? You lost a lot of good talent last year, like I said, in the draft. You had to replace them, and I feel like overall for offense, I feel really good about Tennessee heading into next year. Regardless of if we have Aguilar or not, I think that they have laid that groundwork. They have something that clicks. Just got to make sure, refresh it, add a couple of new plays in if you have to, and you'll just some slight tweaks, you'll be good to go. Defense, I think, needs a little bit more work, but like I said, you have some bright moments, some good young players over there as well that as they grow, as they get better, I hope that, and I know all Tennessee fans hope that they can get better and better with each passing year. It'll be interesting to see who they sign with their early national signing day here later on this week, and as well as who they're going to pick up in the transfer portal once we officially lock in, get into the offseason, and see if Tennessee can steal away some really good talent from whether it be the SEC programs or any of the other major Power 5 conferences out there. Also, hey, who knows? We also see some tremendous JUCO talents that make that big splash for a lot of great teams. So who knows what Tennessee's going to do? Of course, we're going to be here covering live on the channel as it goes down. So for Joey Clinkscale, my tremendous co-host today, and also Tennessee Vols legend, thank you so much as always for coming on, talking about the legend you see on the screen here, Doug Atkins, and of course, the Vols Weekly Recap. I've been your host and producer, Logan Landers. Guys, be safe out there. Enjoy your weekend. And until next week, we'll see you on another Vols Weekly Recap.